Hearts Ortiz coming at you guys with another tutorial. It's been a long time since my last tutorial, and I apologize for that. A quick shout out to Joseph Filbert, who has incorporated me in quite a bit of groups on Facebook and things like that. Another quick shout out to Flern for having my images on their page. That's really nice of you guys. I've gotten a great amount of feedback from my last tutorials, and today we're gonna have just as much fun. We're gonna try a few things that are brand new with the way that I do tutorials, and hopefully you guys get a lot out of it. So I kind of just want to jump right in. Before I even go ahead, I just want to give two warnings. One, I have a newborn. There might be a good chance at some point he'll be in here crying and screaming, so sorry about that. Anyone that's a parent does understand. Anyone that's not a parent, I'm sorry, and we'll take care of it. I might just go ahead and pause it and then jump back in. Two, I just want to thank everyone that's been watching my other videos. The feedback on the emails and the group messages and things like that has been amazing. I'm glad you guys like the process of me telling you exactly why I do things. And the fact that you guys can sit through a long tutorial means that you guys are willing to learn and want to learn, and that's a great thing. And I really appreciate that. However, my Vimeo videos are going to be longer. I'm creating a brand new YouTube channel, and that is where I'm going to break things apart. So you'll see that I'll have like part 1, part 2, part 3 on the YouTube channel. I'm creating the YouTube channel tonight, so hopefully it'll be up by the time you're watching this. Now, what we have before us right here in Bridge is a few images we're going to work with. I did not take any of these, and the reason that I'm working with these images is so that you guys have them available for yourselves, and are able to follow along and do what I do while you're watching the video. So at the very bottom of the description, there's going to be a password protected folder where you can download all of these files and have them with you. And we're going to kind of go for like a movie poster feel, and it's going to be pretty cool, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We have this awesome background with all these lines and things like that, and I absolutely love lines and textures, and everyone knows that about me. We have this awesome picture of Miss Mosh, which was taken off of DeviantArt. All these stock images were taken off of DeviantArt. Another picture of a great model. I hate to say this model. If you see this, let me know who you are so I can at least put you in the details. But I think it looks really cool, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this image too. We're gonna play with bullets, and let me just say this right now: guns are not cool. I do not approve of guns in real life. However, in Photoshop life and in movie life, it's freaking badass, and we're gonna have a good time creating some nice effects with these bullets and the guns that the ladies are using. And the thing that you guys are requesting is my frequency separation action, which I had in a previous tutorial with Xenia, and I've been getting the emails saying, "Oh, can you send that to me?" Because that's what I said in the video for you guys to send me an email if you want it. It's now going to be included in this rare file. So the only way that you can go ahead and get these files is by joining the group on Facebook that I have listed below, and that's really the only way. So I'll have it in the description. You guys will get the password, and everything will be gravy. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We're going to open up Photoshop, and what we're going to do is we're going to open up these files as RAWs. And what I'm going to teach you guys right now is something I do with every single image that I do, where it's very edgy and fun and almost out there. And I process all my images twice inside RAW. Now, if it's a beauty shot, I process it twice, but I don't do it as harshly. I do something a little bit different, and I might do that in another tutorial, but I think I did a beauty tutorial where I did explain it. So we're going to do it again. This time, I'm only going to do this part once, because just so you guys know, I have my Photoshop set up that if you drag any image, it doesn't matter what image it is, into Photoshop, whether it's a raw, TIFF, JPEG, GIF, it always opens up in Camera Raw, and that just saves me a lot of time. But I'm going to teach you guys how to do it for the people that don't know how to do it. And the way you do it is you go to File, Open As. All right, and you want to go down to this section here that says Open As, and you're telling Photoshop what you want this file to be opened as. So we're going to go ahead and open it as a RAW. So go to Camera Raw right here, which is the 5th one down. Click on it, and just start with the first image. We're going to start with Miss Mosh, and we're going to move on from there. Now, I'm going to go over one thing with you guys once it pops up. Now, forgive the speed. For some reason, whenever I use my my screen capture, things just slow down like crazy. Oh, it's already processed. Let me just go back to my defaults here. Great. All right, so this is the default image. This is how it's supposed to look. I think it looks really cool. I've always liked it, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna process it in 2 different ways. We're gonna process it first where we focus on the colors of the image. So, you know, her skin tone and her hair and the boots, we're gonna focus on those. We're gonna kind of dull them out a little bit. And then the second time we're gonna process it, we're gonna process it as a black and white with a few adjustments to the dull version. Now in Photoshop, if you take a look here, I already have this stuff in presets because I do these things a lot. But what we're gonna do is the first time we're gonna go through it each, and then you guys can go ahead and create the presets yourself. I'll teach you how to create the presets. It just saves you a lot of time. So we have the file open now in Camera Raw. I like to bring down my excuse me, I'm getting a little sick. I like to bring down my exposure to a negative 0.25. My fill light, I like to bring that to about a 73. Let's see. Yeah, about 73. And you're noticing now all these shines are coming in. The shadows are getting a little bit more defined without it being high in contrast. Because I'm actually going to bring this contrast down to about a negative 25, 26. Let's see, we'll go to 26. I don't like the prime. I mean the 25 and 20s. I like 26. I like the weird numbers. All right, and then with that, we're just going to go ahead and press Open Object. If yours doesn't say Open Object, because I always open things as smart objects automatically so that I can always come back into it, and I'll show you in a second. Just go ahead and press Shift, and it should change this to Open Object. But before I do that, make sure you go ahead and create a preset of this. So I'll put this as 1. All right. Oh my God. Excuse me. Let me get some water here. All right. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna process it again as its own layer as a black and white. And here's the thing. If you go ahead and just grab this and bring this right here and duplicate it, now what ends up happening is if I double click on the smart object, which is what a smart object lets you do, you can go back into it and change little tweaks and, and things like that. If any changes that I do here, so we know that this is negative 0.25. So if I bring this down to exposure negative 4, what the hell is going on with my breathing? I have asthma and I'm getting sick. So you might hear this. I have a pump right here. Great. Okay, so, sorry guys. Now look what happened. I changed this layer, but this layer was changed also, and that's that's a no-no. We don't like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this layer. Ooh, that was not a delete. And we're gonna double click on that layer. Had to pause it for a second. Sorry, guys. So we have this layer here. It's been changed because of what we did previously. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and change it back. And this is the great thing about a smart object, is that if you change something and you're like, oh no, I don't like that. Let me go ahead and change it back or tweak it. You just double click on it and you go ahead and you can go ahead and change the things. So we're going to change that back to a negative 0.25 on the exposure. So let's just go ahead, negative 0.25. There we go. All right, cool. So now we're going to press OK. We're going to now go ahead and process it one more time. I'm going to teach you how to go ahead and process another layer. So what you want to do is you want to right click on this layer. You want to go to new smart object via copy. And what this does is we've now copied it, but it's a brand new smart object. It's a different smart object from the one we had before. So if I go ahead and double click on this one and I change the settings, it will not change the first layer. And that's really important, guys, that you do that. So what we want now is we're going to go ahead and change this to a black and white. So the first thing I like to do is I go over to convert it to grayscale. Perfect. All right. And then we're going to change a few settings here. We're going to go into the clarity section, the detail section, and we're going to go ahead and bring up some of the sharpening just for effect. Now this one, we're actually, you guys are like, oh no, how are you bringing down so much exposure? Negative 0.50. We're going to go with that. All right, we're going to go to the fill light now, and we're going to bring, oh, it's the same number. We're going to make that to, I have notes here, so I'm just looking at it. Same exact number. All right. We're going to go to contrast. We're actually going to bring this to a negative 14. Because what's going to happen is these colors are, what the hell? These colors are going to blend in together. These shadows are going to blend in together on these two layers here. So if you go too high with the contrast and it blends in here, it's just going to be a mess. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Now the key part is this clarity. The clarity we're going to bring up to a plus 2.3. Alright, or 2.6. No, we're going to go through 2.3. I'm just going to stick to the notes because I've already done this first before I went ahead and decided to start doing this. Now we're going to go here over here. We're going to sharpen this to about 43. Ooh, excuse me. 43. We're going to go to here. We're going to leave that alone, and we're going to leave this alone. So right now, all we did was bring up the sharpening as well. And you can go ahead and make this a preset. So, 2. Great. So I already have these here. You can see that I've already done this, and we're just gonna go ahead and move on. Great. So next step is to blend these two together. We're gonna go ahead and commit to that, and by going to overlay, we're not gonna go soft light because we're going for something harsh. We're going for something kind of badass. And we all know my motto is soft light is for pansies and beauty shots. So we're gonna go ahead and go a little bit hardcore on this one, and you can see already that it just looks freaking amazing. So I'm gonna do one more thing. The background here has a little bit, I don't know if you guys can see it, a little bit of cyans, and I need this to be gray, and that's really, really important. It's just to have this as a gray color. I don't want it as this blue color that's there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one more copy here, new smart object via copy, because I'm gonna bring down this blue, but I don't want to lose the blue in the boots. So on the color one, not the black and white one, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm gonna take out some of those blues. We're gonna go here. We're gonna go to saturation. And now I'm going to use this tool here. It's the target adjustment tool. It's actually a really cool tool. It's just kind of a click and drag type thing. It senses what color is here. So I'm just going to click in this gray area. We're going to bring this down like this. And you can see it just did some craziness right over there. So look again, up, down. All right. But what I want is these blues. All right. That's really important to me. I need the blues. So we're going to go press OK. And now we're just going to mask that out. Alright, so we're just going to create a mask right there. Alright, now if you don't know the X trick, press X to switch between black and white. Alright, and right now what we want to do is we want to paint with black. And what that's going to do is just kind of bring back, and don't be so, actually, let me make sure that it's a softer brush. But don't be so like, I need this to be careful, and just freaking paint it in. Just paint it, do what you got to do. get the colors out, because we're going to be cutting out the background. I'm a perfectionist. I need things to look a certain way, and if you don't like the blue, that's fine. The great thing about having the blue is that we can tweak the color to any color we want. So we might go ahead and do that later. I'm not sure yet, but as of right now, I'm going to keep in the blue. As other people that do tutorials do that sound. Anyway, flatten image. Alright, so we're gonna, as you know from my other tutorials, I like to commit. I don't create tons and tons of, if I feel confident about something, I'm just gonna move on. And I feel really confident about this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and commit and flatten the layer. Flatten the layers. And bam, there's no going back. Well, there is going back, but as of right now, there's really no going back. I like how that looks. So everything that we just did now, we're going to do that with every single image. Okay? So, I'm not going to do the open as because my Photoshop's already set up to just open everything as raw files once you drag them in. And my presets are here. It just makes life a lot easier. So, actually, let's just, for argument's sake. And literally, we're going through the same process. We're going to do this. We're going to click the presets. We're going to make sure that both layers are exactly the same. And we're going to overlay. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing that, making you guys watch me do that again, I'm just going to pause it now. Quickly do that, and then unpause it. And alright, so I've unpaused now so that I can just show you one thing real quick. If you take a look here, I've committed the whole thing. It's now this awesome texture in the background, and these colors are amazing tones. We did the same thing with Miss Mosh, as you guys remember, but now we're coming into a problem where I have the overlay on it, and her face is just ridiculously dark from the shadows. Now, there are two ways that we can go ahead and do this. We can bring down the shadows here, but then it changes the whole body, and that's not good, and that's not something we want. So what I'm going to do is, I actually really like the shadows on just the color layer on her face, and the only thing I want to focus on is her face. Everything else just looks so badass. I mean, look at the gun. We got to get rid of some of that red later, but right now what we want to do is just bring some of these shadows, and the way you do that is just with a mask. And we're gonna go ahead and paint with black right here. Actually, you know what, let me use my pen because I prefer using my Wacom tablet. Oh, what just happened? That's no good. Alright, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna, oops, we don't want it to be so heavy, so we're gonna bring down the opacity of this to about 40, 41. And just kind of paint in right here some of those shadows away. And we're only doing it to really the shadows here. Okay, this is just a quick fix instead of having to play with curves and things like that. Great. Absolutely gorgeous. I love the expression she has here. Great. So it's just a huge difference. We're going to commit to that. I like how that looks. And great. Alright, so I forgot to, it doesn't really matter. I forgot to bring down the blues and the grays. You guys go ahead and do that. I'm just, it makes life a lot easier if you do that. But it's perfectly fine if you don't. So, next, what we want to do is we want to cut out these people, these girls. We want to cut them out. We want to make sure that we can bring them into here. I'm gonna, play around with placement and things like that in a bit. But let's start off with Miss Mosh. So the way that I cut out, now this is, I just want to go ahead and point out a few things first. Topaz Labs is an amazing company. They have quite a few things for people, and they gave me something to trial out for a little while, and It was to cut people out, and I loved it. You actually can see it in some of my old YouTube speed art, speed editing type things. And it's called Remask. Now, for all of you guys that have Remask, the key is to go ahead and tweak it and find out the best way. It's a really fast program to use. Alright, but the reason I'm not going to use it right now in my tutorial is because I think that people should, I have a very strict rule with my students and when I do workshops and things like that, is if you're going to use a preset or you're going to go ahead and use a plugin, know how to do it yourself before you go ahead and use the shortcut. Because worst case scenario is your filter doesn't work one day and you're like, oh no, then you got to spend time reinstalling it and all this type of stuff. And if you're dealing with clients and you're doing commercial work, sometimes you just don't have time for that. So it's better if you already know everything, and that way you can call yourself a Photoshop master. You cannot call yourself a Photoshop master if you use plugins and don't know how to make the plugins yourself. Let me repeat that. You cannot call yourself a Photoshop master if you do not know how to do the things yourself. Okay? That's really important. You need to learn how to do these things yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut her out. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way, which is by using the quick selection tool. Do not use the magic wand tool. Okay? Use the quick selection tool. Now, the great thing about her is that it's such a difference off of the gray. It's a huge difference in contrast, and it's going to make our life a lot easier. Now, a lot of people, they actually cut out from the inside. They'll go ahead and like select her here, and they'll just drag this up and move on like that. And there is nothing wrong with that. If that's something that you prefer to do, by all means, go for it. I actually don't see any problems with that at all. I just prefer to cut from the outside and then mask in the inside. And that's just me. It's just preference. Photoshop is all about preference. It's how you do things on your own. So I'm going to do it my way. You guys do it your way. As long as you cut out and you do a refined edge or a mask edge, a refined mask, which is what we do, what I do. I use refined mask. I don't use refined edge because I like to be able to go back and change things. Great. Love that. So as you saw, while you're selecting, her face got actually selected, and I actually don't know why I'm doing this. I like to have it zoomed in a little bit. All right, and that's no good. We don't want to cut off her face. So just hold Alt, and what that does is it changes this to the opposite. So right there. Great. We're going to go in and fix some of this stuff later, so this just needs to be a kind of rough thing that you're doing. Oops, don't know why I did that. Alright. Feels so weird to edit without music. I usually edit with Wu-Tang specifically, or MF Doom. Because it just gets me in the mood, and it's been like that for years. Alright, so here's the thing, and I'm just going to mention this. With this image, with the style of image that we're going to be going with, I'm actually going to go ahead and keep some of these little flyaways, and I'll teach you how to do that. The important thing to know is that you should not do that with every single image, whether it's a fashion image or a beauty shot. It's not good. It's not good to keep flyaway hairs. And I'm going to explain why, and hopefully it helps you guys out. When you're doing commercial work, okay? Okay. Sorry, South Park. When you're doing commercial work, you've got to remember that, especially with advertisement, you've got to remember that the viewer cannot have anything that's distracting. Because a person looks at an advertisement for about 20 seconds tops without it catching their eye. Okay, so if it's just something inside of a magazine and you're doing like an ad for a campaign or something like that, you need to have something it's not too distracting. And a lot of the things that you're going to notice when you're doing the big work with these agencies is that they ask you to get rid of certain things because of that. So if you have flyaway hairs and it's too distracting, and there's all this information over here about, you know, what program it is or what it is that you need to buy. These boots are cool, buy them. And there's all these flyaway hairs here. It's not okay. It's your eye ends up going there. However, we're doing a movie poster feel, so all the little details are cool. In my opinion, I think it's really important to have as much detail as possible with movie posters and action and you know, stuff like that. Just keep in mind that a lot of you guys that are doing this stuff will want to get into the fashion world or the advertisement world, and it's just not acceptable, flyaways, or for that matter, too much detail. It's just not. So it cannot be too distracting. So right now with this one, it's going to be perfectly fine if it's distracting, because it just truly doesn't matter too much. All right, because we're gonna be doing some badass stuff. Excellent. All right, so what we have here is a roughly selected mismatch, and it's not perfect because we're gonna go ahead and refine it. Now, things to keep in mind: the refine edge is not perfect. All right, it's not a perfect thing at all. What it likes to play with is contrast, and it finds things via contrast. So there's a few ways that you can go ahead and do this, and I'm going to show you the quick way so that we can just kind of fly through this. So right here, I'm just going to go ahead and create a mask, and what that's done is cut her out from what we need. And the reason I do that is because I can go ahead and just invert that, and I'll have her there. But I like to work from my mask, so we're going to right click on our mask and go to refine mask. Whoa, that's weird. It like cut out like strips of her. Alright, that was bizarre. Great, so there's only a few things here that I just want to work on, and if you know anything about refine mask, you get this cool brush that you can kind of just drag along, very similar to that Topaz program. Great. And all I'm looking for are the edges, because see how it like dimmed out some of her face there? That's perfectly fine. Now, if you have a strong contrast between her hair and the background, all you gotta do is just kind of paint on her hair here, and you'll get some of those flyaways. See that? It's really not that difficult. And that's pretty cool right there. So we want to get some of this information as well. And just remember that, see, that's what happens. Because of the contrast is too similar to the gray background. It's just something that happens. We're also going to go ahead, and it's very important for me, her laces. I think the laces just add so much to the picture. Great, and I think there were laces here somewhere. Yep, laces. Good. All right. Actually, now remember, we're selling a fake. You know, that's what doing a composite is. You're selling a fake. You're doing something that never was there when they came into the studio. So we're putting her in a scenario that she wasn't in. That's a fake, and that's what you're doing. That's what Hollywood does. That's what, you know, everyone does. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of flow with this, run with this. I like to just play around first to see if there's anything I can change here to give it a sharper edge. I like sharp edges. I don't need to go too much. I think that looks pretty damn good. Alright, we're gonna press OK on this one. Great. Here's the problem. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and, if you hold Alt and just click on the mask, now you can only see the mask, and you'll see that there's these little bits here. So I just want to fix that myself by just kind of going in and painting some of that back. Great. And if you saw, I actually still had my opacity down. So make sure your opacity is back up. It's just little details like that that I need fixed. Other than that, I'm pretty satisfied with this, especially with the placement where we're gonna put her in the image. Great. So what I've done is we had it like this, right? If you hold Control and then press I on your mask, it'll invert it and you'll have her nicely cut out. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so here's the thing. The edges, I like sharp edges, I really do. But if you look at someone, if you're next to someone right now, look at them. The edge of their line actually kind of blends in a little to whatever your background is. So you can go ahead and just close one eye and look at that. It's something that happens when you're looking at things. I'm a bit of a perfectionist with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a trick that I do. So I'm actually gonna bring this down some. You need to have a mask for this. So you're gonna click on the mask. Click on the mask. Thank you. Filter. We're gonna go to other. We're gonna go to minimum, and we're gonna bring it down 1 pixel. All right, you can see instantly what that just did. All right, so I'm gonna go to. All that did was just bring her in a little bit, and sure we've lost a little bit of details. We can bring some of that stuff back, because I might just bring it back in certain places. All right, like the lace. Although, yeah, we don't need this because I know where I'm gonna be placing mosh. But if you were doing something else, you can just always go back to your mask and just, do the refine mask thing. It works. Actually, I might want to do a refine mask. This is why I like doing it through masks as opposed to refine edge, to see if that works. Yeah, good. Right. I just need some of those darks gone, because that's not what she's about. She's some crazy blonde, right? All right. Good. These don't matter too much, just because the background is mostly a dark background for the most part. Okay, so we've now cut out Miss Mosh. Let's go ahead and drag her. All right, use your move tool and literally just, not the layer, you're gonna drag her right into that tab like this and place. This doesn't make sense. She's like floating in. Oh my god, I forgot to cut out her hands. Forgot to refine mask that, and that's fine. We'll go ahead and refine mask. Oh, clicky. There we go. So it cut out some of her nails and stuff, and that's not cool. So we're gonna press X, switch to white, and color her in. Great, got her nails back. All right. So, Miss Mosh is going to be on the other side of this wall here, because she's badass like that. So, before I even go ahead and do that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna transform her. All right, and you guys should know these quick keys. So you're gonna go to Control T. I know I pressed it. Did I press it? I pressed it. Control T. Great. And we're gonna go ahead and scale this by holding Shift and scaling it. But there's a little trick. See how it's scaling? It's following in this direction and it's not going back. If you hold Shift and press Alt and drag this in, what starts happening is she's scaling, but she's going back into perspective, and that's a pretty cool trick. All right, so we want her around there. We're gonna go ahead and move her around like this. Excellent, excellent. So her perspective right now is about here, and So we're gonna apply, and we want to use that mask that's already there. Okay, and we're going to go on the mask, and we're gonna just paint on it with black. Where is my pen tool? Can't paint with a mouse. If you guys are using a mouse, I'm sorry. I prefer my pen. Get yourself a Wacom tablet. It saves time. It saves life. All right. Although it's lagging pretty damn bad because of this screen capture. Awesome. So let's just. No, I did not ask you to do that. What is going on? Maybe I will have to use the. I think the lag is so intense that it's just not listening. Lost like some gun parts there. All right, cool. So we're gonna go to screen just so I can see. All right, and I just like to be able to see. Actually, let's try lighting here. No, we're gonna go to screen. Let's why. Nope. You know what? Let's just drop the opacity. Stop being fancy. All right. So back again. We're just gonna kind of click and go like that. So if you click and then hold Shift and then click somewhere else, it just follows through in a line. It's a little tidbit that I like to do. Great. And in case for the people that are beginners and you just saw how I dragged, if you hold Shift and click and drag, it just lets you maneuver around a little faster. All that work about her boots, and I'm not even using her boots. Can you believe that? It was the other chick whose boots are going to be visible. Alright. So this is... Ugh, all types of sick. You hear me coughing, you hear me sneezing. It's crazy. Alright. Luckily, you guys can't get sick via the web. Alright, so let's bring this up some just so I can see, differentiate. Alright, we kind of just want to. What's going on here? What is going on? I went to eraser tool? When did that happen? Alright. Good, just keep on erasing. Now, I don't usually do it like this. I like to use the pen tool, just quickly go. But on one of my last videos where I did the pen tool, the feedback was, I hate the pen tool. I don't understand how you could hate the pen tool. It saves time. It's a very awesome way to select things, but it's fine. I get it. I get it. Alright, that's kind of weird right there. Train your eyes to see pixels, guys. Cool. So let's just see how that looks. Great. I like it. So, we're going to be playing a lot with like light and stuff like that, and you guys are going to notice some things that I do later. So there's going to be a shadow here for her, just to kind of make it a little bit more believable. At the moment, she actually doesn't blend in nicely to the background because the background is one color and she's not. We're not going to focus on that now. We want to just place things where we want it and then come back to it later. Okay? So, yeah. let's just move on. I actually think she could be a little bit smaller. That's just me. So let's just see. I'm gonna do my little alt click trick. Yeah, I just think that's a little more believable. Great. I think that's cooler. Alright, so now we're gonna have a young lady coming down here, maybe shooting in the same direction or whatnot. Alright, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna cut her out the same way that I showed you guys earlier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause it, I'm gonna cut her out, and when she's all cut out, instead of having you guys watch it again, I'll just go ahead and move her over. So I'm gonna pause now. Alright guys, so she's all cut out. If you're up to this point, then great. If not, pause it and cut her out and let's move on from there. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of drag her in to London stock, London 16. Now if you look around her, she actually has this like this white line going here and there and all over her, which is not cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go now to our layer mask and open up our levels. And what we want to do is get rid of some of that white by, sorry, I don't know why I did that, by bringing in the blacks. And what that does is it just kind of gets rid of some of that white line, that extra bit. Great. Alright, so little edits like we did with Mosh. I'm noticing here that we lost her hand. We've also lost a bit of this rope. Great. Do that again. Awesome. Alright. So as of right now, I like that. Now here's the dilemma. The dilemma is we can't see Mosh. That's never acceptable. As you guys can tell, I'm a big Mosh fan. Not that this one in the front is not beautiful, because she is, but I've just been a Mosh fan since Michael O days. Alright. Great, so we're just going to actually flip this. I'm going to go to my width here, I'm going to press negative, and I just want to see what that looks like. Yeah, so now we can actually see Mosh. We can see this chick as well. That's pretty cool. Now here's the thing, there's a lot of this that just does not go because of the tones in the image and all of that good stuff. And that's never good. We don't like that. So I want to commit. I like this. I do want to commit. So I'm gonna actually merge this into a blank layer. Merge down. And we'll do the same thing here. I'm gonna rename these layers now. Alright, so this is Mosh. Mosh. And this is Rope Girl. And we are gonna take this background, we're gonna duplicate it, and we're gonna call this London. Alright, cool. So, so far it's okay. It's not the best in the world. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and play with these colors in her face. I wanna bring up some of these colors, and the only way to do that, in my opinion, is with hue and saturation. We're gonna click our hue and saturation. I'm gonna go ahead and find orange. Orange. And on its own layer, I'm literally just gonna make a dot. Dot. That's not orange. That's definitely not orange. What happened to my orange? I know I clicked it. There we go. Alright, so on my hue and saturation, what we're going to do is we're going to trick, see how it's reds, yellows, greens, and faces have reds and yellows. But I could either use Russell Brown's ACR tool, which everyone should go and download because it's freaking amazing. Or I can go ahead and do it in camera raw. You do it in camera raw, and you can go ahead and you know, tweak the oranges in the saturation tool. Or we can just tell our hue and saturation what orange is. So if I click right here, it's going to say yellows, but it's really just focusing on these tones. And that's a really, really cool trick. And what we want to do is we're going to boost up a little bit of her face. Alright, and I'm actually going to bring down that. This looks a little bit more believable with the area. Alright, the other thing I want to do is I want to get rid of these little red bits on the guns. That I don't like. I don't like the red bits. So we're going to do another hue and saturation. Hue and saturation. I should do that with all my stuff, right? Every time I open up something new, I just create a sound effect for it. And we're going to click this little eyedropper. We're going to click on this section here and just see what it is. Yellows. No way. There we go. Okay. And we're going to bring that down. Oh no, it's made everything black and white. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to invert this. Okay, we're inverting the mask. And now, painting with white, we're going to bring back the effect only on that part. Alright, I just realized some crazy stuff right here. Huh, there's like a white line on Mosh, which is not acceptable. So, get rid of it. Alright, awesome, awesome, awesome. Very cool. So, we have these really, really cool effects right now. I like it. And we're now going to go ahead and start creating. So I'm going to just have this here because this little distraction here is bothering the crap out of me. So we're going to clone some of this part back. Clone tool. Oh, what did I just do? Alright, so let's make sure the line lines up. No one's going to be focusing on this corner now that we're getting rid of the distraction. Alright, that's just, you know, everyone says it's because I'm a Virgo that I'm a perfectionist. Whatever the reason is, I don't care. So this is another distraction here. Let's just see what it looks like with the girls. Yeah, it's a bit distracting. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna kind of get rid of that distraction. Always clone from lines. That way you can just kind of move along. Alright. Distraction gone. Great. Nice. Alright. So, now what we want to do is, you see this white area here? We're going to bring some clouds into it. Because, you know, no one just wants a white space. And I forgot to put that inside your folder for download. I'm going to do that right now. Let me pause and put the cloud. Alright guys, I'm back. So, we want to get rid of some of this here, so that we can put the clouds in the background. And the best way to do that is by creating a mask. So I'm going to go ahead and create a mask right here. All right, let's go. And I'm actually going to select. What am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm going to expand by 1 pixel. I'm just like that. Let's see, 2 pixels. No, 1 pixel. 1 pixel is always about right. Excellent. And we're gonna go ahead and create that mask. Oh no! Just invert. Alright, so I have this here. And I like that because it's in the distance and the clouds are just far away. And that's something that I kind of want to use. So we're gonna go ahead and use that if it lets me. Now keep in mind, my Photoshop is set up to anything I bring into it just goes into Camera Raw. So we're about to have a Camera Raw moment. Gonna drop it. Alright, we're gonna go drag this right under the mask, and we're going to move it. That looks strange. I'm actually gonna rasterize this. Alright. Kind of like the buildings there. Some more lines to play with. But it's not what I want. Alright, so now I've lined it up. I'm just going to bring this up a little because it is clouds. And you can do that. Alright. It's looking cool so far. I like to just test things out. Let's see how that looks with overlay. It actually did nothing. Oh, that's why. Kind of like that. All right. Cool. So everything's looking a little crazy right now. There's all these different tones and colors going on in the image. And before we start tweaking, I like to just go ahead and get these colors right. So here's a cool little trick. We're gonna go ahead and click on our background layer. Okay. We're gonna bring that all the way to the top. Alright. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Average. And what it does is it blends all the colors together and it creates the main color. Alright. And then I like to select that and push it up just a bit, like that. And then fill that in. Alright, so we have that. Now you can go to Soft Light. And it's just it's a cool little trick to get all the tones and colors going. So here's this is after. Sorry, this is before. This is after. Before, after. All right, you can do it with soft light, or you can go to overlay, which I kind of like. You see, soft light is for pansies. All right, looking like I want it to so far. Now, there's a few things that we're gonna do. We're gonna play with bullets. All right, we're gonna play with some mist. We're also gonna. I gotta build a shadow right here for Mosh's gun because that just looks placed, and that's never okay. So we're gonna duplicate this layer. Okay, the only thing I want in this whole layer is her arm. That's it. That's all I want. I want nothing else. So let's just get the gun. An arm. And just roughly do this. Don't spend too much time on it. Because after all, it's just going to be a shadow. It's just a shadow. Alright. What are we on? We're on 56 minutes so far. I think it's going to be another 2-hour one. Which is fine. It's fine. Real art takes time. Real work takes time. You should not speed through it. Alright, so now I got this chick's arm. And what we're going to do is we're going to double click in this area here. Oh. Missed a step. Missed a step. Alright, I just need to merge this down. Alright, so I'm double click. I merged it down into a blank layer so that it's just by itself. And we're going to go to drop shadow. Okay, and we're gonna have the direction the opposite. So we're gonna go negative. Let's see what that looks like. Nope. I'm gonna bring it here. Let's do that. Yes. Excellent. Okay. So there's two ways that we can do this. We can go ahead and just drop the fill, which gets rid of the arm, which is not what we want, right? Because you can just then stick that right under her arm right here. And you think that's enough? No, it's not. So, the other thing that we can do is bring back that fill. And here's a cool little trick. This is one of my favorite things to do. I right click on the drop shadow and you go to create layer. And press OK. It's fine. The warning is there. That's great. So now what we have is the chateau on its own layer. See that? It's just a shadow. Which is really cool, because that's what we want, right? But we want that underneath her. And the great thing about this is that it's completely its own layer. So we can edit it however we want. Alright. So what we want to do is we want to study where the light is coming from for her. And obviously the light is coming this way. Alright, so we want to put this somewhere like that. Control T for transforming. Oh, the lag is starting. The lag. Great. And I'm actually going to put my pivot point, which is this, here. Alright. And then just twirl it this way. There we go. I like that. Okay. Now, a few things to remember. It's a harsh image, meaning the shadows and lights are very, very harsh. You see it in the shadows on her. They're not soft shadows. So we don't want to blur this more than it is, because it's already a pretty pretty blurred, which I'm actually not too happy about. So I'm gonna go ahead and change that. The great thing about these is that you can go into it and just kind of tweak it a little. So you gotta remember. Ugh, why isn't it doing it? Alright, well, I guess it's not doing it, and that's fine. I mean, it looks okay. What I was going to do is just make it a little bit sharper, which we should have done in the step before, because we're comparing it to the shadows that are there, which I just didn't notice. So, alright, now I'm going to go ahead with a soft brush and bring down some of this part right here because it's just a little too distracting. Excellent. We're also gonna just drop the opacity a little. The fill a little. Good. So we're getting there. We're now at the point where it's just starting to look really, really cool. So we wanna. That's something you wanna think about is that if the light is hitting Miss Mosh here, but there's also some light hitting this chick here. It's looking a little off, and that's actually only because the light was shot. It's two different images. So in order to get this to look right, you have to make it believable that there's two lights in this place. So there's a light over here, and then there's a light over here behind them. So we're gonna play with lights a little bit. And the best way to do that is to actually have visible light. And I don't know if any of you know, the best way to have visible light is with a smoke machine. So you have a smoke machine, and let's say you're out, you're doing a fashion shoot at night, and you have the flashes going off. You can't see the flash, right? Unless there's light there. Unless there's fog there. And if you have the fog or powder, a lot of people use baby powder. When the flash goes off, you can actually see the light, and you can take a picture of the light because there's smoke there. So we're just going to assume that these young ladies that are breaking into this awesome facility are using those smoke bomb things, so that we can kind of get some light visible inside of here. So we're going to go to the lower layer. We're going to go here. Ooh, that looks weird. All right, and we're going to create a layer above it. And what we're going to do is all we're going to do is use white on a soft. Okay. And we're going to create two places that light is. Yes, I know. Alright, so for her, light would be around here or here. Yeah, it would be more about this area. So we're gonna just take white and kind of go there. And actually, to show that it's above her, we're gonna do some of that. See how it's creating a bit of light on her there? So we're gonna soft light this. Awesome. We're gonna do another layer right above it where it's gonna be very, very similar. Alright, and instead of a soft light, we're going to go to linear dodge add, and we're going to just drop down the fill, not the opacity, the fill. Alright, and it gives it that sense of light, so we got that nice dimness. And we're going to just now click and drag, so we're going to click here, drag. Awesome. Did you guys catch that? Actually, we can actually do something even cooler. So if we go to our brush presets, right here, to your shape dynamics. Now you can do this with a pen. I'm going to do this with fade right now because there's a bit of an issue. But I'm just going to click and drag. Actually, we're going to go under it, and we're going to bring this to soft light also. We're going to click, drag, boom. Alright, and then click, drag. Let's make the second one a little bit smaller. Excellent, excellent. And I'm actually going to bring now the opacity down for those just a smidge. That looks pretty cool, guys, pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing for Mosh, because obviously there's a light back here, but we're gonna have it behind this subject and above Miss Mosh. So we're gonna create a layer here. Oh, my layers are looking crazy. I really have to get into the habit of naming my layers. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna just create a section here, and I'm wondering if we should well, if it's shooting this way, the best bet would be behind her here. We don't know what's there. We have no idea what's over there. Great, soft light. Alright, just a little bit brighter. And we're going to go to the one above, and we're going to make that a linear dodge add in a second. Linear dodge add, and we're going to drop the fill just a bit. Pretty cool. Alright, and last but not least, I want to do my little trick here with soft light. I'm going to click and drag. It's too much. Although it kind of looks cool. It really does look kind of cool. God, I actually like that. So we're going to make this a lot bigger now. I click, click, and drag. All right, and let's just try overlay. Let's see what that looks like. No. Alright, we're gonna soft light. Alright, when you're playing with light, you should just really experiment. It's a really fun thing to do. Alright, so as of right now, I'm actually really liking this. I'm liking how the things look, and that's fine. Now another thing is that there's gonna be gunfire, which is really important to know. So